Hello everyone. Welcome me back. Man, it feels good to be back. Finally have gotten moved and everything's settled, so I'm pretty happy. What it enables me to do now that everything's set up and things are, I would say, back to normal is record. And not only are we continuing the Polish playthrough, which episodes started trickling back in about a week ago, we're going to start a new CK2 series that will run side by side with that, as well as I'm going to have to make an assessment on, do I convert the Polish playthrough or see it to the end? And of course, if I see it to the end, then it'll be converted to EU4. But anywho, that's kind of to be determined, really based on an assessment that I do later this week. So I hope y'all have been well. I know that I have been well. So we're going to start a new CK2 series because it is going to be fun. It is going to be set in southern Italy at the start of the Viking Age. And we're going to play as one of the patrician families of the Amalfi Republic, which was a small republic in southern Italy that existed for a period of time until ultimately the Normans who invaded southern Italy crushed it. It had ties at times to the Byzantine Empire. Its biggest trading partners were the Byzantines, as well as some of the North African Arab Berber nations to the south. But it actually holds some significance historically. So, anywho, we're going to be playing as one of the patrician families, and the one that I like the most is the Greek family. So we will be playing as a Greek Catholic, and let's go ahead and dive into it. For those of you who are not familiar to merchant republics in CK2, they are ultimately quite different from the super majority of the characters you can play as, because they're not feudal. Under the Republican system, you have 5 patrician families. You will always have 5 patrician families. And we'll kind of dive into the mechanics behind some of them. But anyway, so it says you are playing as a Greek Orthodox patrician. What does that mean? Well, we are Greek Orthodox, so we're not Catholic. And patrician really is a fancy word for lowborn. We are lowborn. All right, so before we do anything, we're going to make some initial assessments. I'm going to show you a few things that will kind of be recurring trends and kind of talk about what we're going to do and how we're going to actually make this quite fun. So the first thing that you'll notice is, if you take a look at our character banner, it has the kind of copper ring around it with red twine on the center. This is us of House Konstantinos, which is rather Greek in its name. Our character is okay. Really not thrilled about that being a big goose egg, but his stats are actually relatively decent. He is proud, he is craven, he's honest, and he's kind. He has a son, and it looks like I have 2 brothers and a sister. And okay, yeah, perfect. All right, so before we dive into making our opening moves, what makes a merchant republic different? Well, number one, as noted, we're not noble. We are not of a noble bloodline, and right now it looks like we essentially don't have anything except for our house. So if you go over to the far right tab, it's not a tab, but up at your buttons where you can tab through, we have the Republic tab. When we open this up, we can see that this is our Doge, and it looks like someone from House Morrow is going to, this gentleman right here is going to win the next election to elect our Doge. which is the Doge is kind of is the ruler of a republic. In this case, you can see that this gentle fellow is going to win because he has more respect than everybody else. But you're probably looking at this going, okay, holy crap. If you've never played as a merchant republic, there's some really cool features. One of them is this right here. We have our family mansion. And within this mansion, you can see we can upgrade it. And each one of these building upgrades, I mean, they cost a pretty substantial amount of money. They provide different things like secret passages give us permanently +1 intrigue and gives us roughly +9 tax income. If we upgrade to a great mansion, our levy goes up by 30%, our tax income goes up by 8, and we get 3 additional trade posts. Trade posts are very important because that is how we're going to continue to generate income. You see that none of our families, because we started the game, no trade posts have been established. And we'll kind of talk about trade posts for a minute, but anyways, because we're playing as a republic, we can establish trade posts. Further, what are some other unique? There are several unique features. So you build these trade posts. Trade posts are upgradable. Trade posts give you income, and you want to try to stack your trade post in a linear fashion. So, example, before I even start the game, I want to try to build a trade post in this county, this county, this county, and this county. If I can get Salerno, Amalfi, actually, if I could get Amalfi, Roma, and possibly, I believe this is Neapolis, then I would be a happy man. Because then, I can pop one down in Salerno, Capua. But one of the benefits of doing that is when your trade posts are all linear, you get bonuses as they connect. Furthermore, if you go down to, let's see, I know I hot mapped it, trade zones. As you build contiguous trade posts, if you get enough of these in these zones right here, like the Golfo di Napoli, which I'm probably not even pronouncing that correctly. Forgive me, I don't speak Italian, but that's going to be my best attempt at that. But if you own essentially 2 or 3 of those, or build trade posts in 2 or 3 of those individual counties, you will eventually, and real soon, once we start the game up, you'll see that will change to a light blue, and it'll say it's owned by the Amalfi Republic. And if you click on it, hopefully it's going to say that it's owned by my family. Other interesting facets of a merchant republic, and this is where our little playthrough is going to be quite fun, because we're going to basically play Crusader Kings 2 in the sleaziest way possible. Your trade post limit. There are multiple strategies that you can play as a republic. One of them is killing off the patricians, because if you extinguish all the males under one of these houses, a new house rises up, but the other 4 houses basically get their trade post and they get their money. That's one way. The other way is your trade posts not only are affected by the buildings you build, but the more male, I don't want to say, I guess heirs for lack of a better term, but the more males that you have in your family, the higher trade post limit you're going to have. So in theory, we could turn our character that we play as into a womanizing sleazebag and basically sleep with everyone at court and generate a bunch of male members of our family, because bastards count. And I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to be completely sleazy. We may even be murderous. So let's go ahead and dive into this. As you probably could tell when I started the game, I have played this a few times just to kind of do a test run through. So the first thing that I like to do is immediately borrow 300 ducats from the Jewish merchants. Now, the first thing that I'm going to do is open up this little menu to the side where you see your hospital, your fort. We can build a trade post. So our first one's going to cost 133.7 ducats. Our next one is going to cost 235. Just let Let's see, that one costs 235. If I wanted to get one here, how much would this cost? 145. I believe I should have enough to do that. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and do this. And then we could honestly probably do that. Well, how much does this one cost? I bet we could do both of these. We're gonna go for this strategy. I normally go for Rome, but we're actually gonna max out our trade post, and we're gonna build 4 trade posts all in pretty much a contiguous line. And once again, you do that because you get trade zone buffs, and it ultimately means that you're gonna have more money from these trade posts because they're connected, and they're connected to your capital. All right, so now that we've done that, let's take a look at this guy. Considering he's going to be a sleazebag, he is going to take seduction focus. We have to grant some minor titles. We're going to make... he's got the best stats out of my siblings. Ooh, I think definitively my designated regent is going to be... I don't like either of these guys. It's not great. Probably needs to be this guy. I mean, he looks like he has more potential. Maybe. Yeah, I think he is going to have more potential. Pick him because we spurned my brother. Name him. We want to auto-assign commanders. We've already got everybody here. What do I want to do with you? Perform statecraft. That's fine. That's fine too. I want you to collect taxes here. Let's send her to, I don't know, Constantinople, and I would like you to improve relations with apparently no one. Oh, wrong button. Huh. Why don't we have you go improve it with the patriarch? Alright, so we have 2 kids who lack a childhood focus. We got a lot of stuff to do, but it's really not that much. He is 9 years old, and I want you to learn about thrift. The next one is this wonderful 8-year-old girl who's going to focus on etiquette. And then this is our son, our designated heir, and realistically, yeah, I'm gonna go stewardship. All right. So the next thing in the long list of things that I want to do before I even hit unpause is take a look. So we've got myself, and it looks like 2 brothers, and we all need to get married because we need to produce kids. Because I'm 31. He's 29, and the other one's 26. And that's what we need to do. All right, so who's at court? We need to marry this sister of ours off. Get her out of here. That's my mother. She's not bad. We're gonna go ahead and take her as a wife. Let's arrange a marriage between you and me, my dear. And yes, everybody's gonna pay for it. And now we need to, let's see, you probably have some Greek ladies in your court, do you not? You're 35. You're too old. But you're not. I want to arrange, are your stats even good? Nope. Just kidding. Okay, how old are you? You're 16. You have really high diplomacy. Let's arrange marriage between you and, say, this guy. Perfect. And what about you, Mr. Mustache? She looks like she's young. She doesn't really have great stats. Maybe you. Here's not really crazy about that. Perhaps you have a gem in your court. Not that kind of gem. Alright, let's check this. I think we already checked there. Let's check here. He may hold the key to what we're looking for. She's 20. She's 16. I can live with those. Alright. Let's arrange a marriage between you and this knucklehead. There we go. Alright, so now that we've basically married off everybody, holy crap, this is going to be a long episode because it's already 15 minutes into it. That's what I get for talking about what I'm doing on the channel. So we've got our trade post being built. We've got ourselves married. Did our brothers get married? We'll have to check on those two guys. But we need them to get married. So let's go ahead and unpause it. And we're going to go to speed 3. Alright, come on dudes. He needs to get married. There's 1. There's 2. Alright, perfect. Now we start the part of being a sleazebag. And in order to do that, we want to seduce you. Oh, is your name really Georgia? No, that can't be right. Gregoria. Alright, so here we go. I can finally, now that I'm sitting closer, I can actually read this. I shall bring all my seduction skills to bear on Gregoria until I've wrapped her around my finger. Perfect. Can I seduce multiple women at the same time? Let's find out. I cannot. Alright, so here we go. I managed to chance upon Gregoria alone in the kitchen when she came down for her usual late snack. She's a late night snacker. We talked and laughed for hours, and I can tell the attraction is growing. Hoping I've read her correctly, I lean in and whisper in her ear. What are we going to whisper in her ear? Well, let's take a look at what her traits are, because we basically get 3 answers all the time. We can confess our love, we can make a lewd suggestion, or we can quote love poetry. And dependent on her traits, if she has certain traits, she's more likely to accept or be receptive of the answer that we choose based on the traits that she has. So she is content, zealous, cruel, and honest. So we're going to confess our love. And just like that, I sure know how to cajole women. Gregoria and I spent a night making sweet, illicit love in her bed. I snuck off in the wee hours, leaving the court clueless, I hope. So we can basically love her and leave her, or we can let our love grow. We're going to let our love grow because, you know what? Why not? And just like that, the sleaze is going to backfire. He's been telling everyone that he saw me. Wow, this is my brother? Oh well. Oops. I bet this brother hates my guts. Yeah, so apparently my brother is my rival. He was cuckolded. Not good either. So yeah, the great ball. And we're probably going to get embarrassed here. So let's ready our carriage. Because nothing says awesome like getting that. Alright, so he wants to attack shift the nobles. That's fine, because we're not nobles. And we basically arrive at the ball and get shown up. I'm not going to read that event because it's a sad event. It's a very sad event. So generally speaking, I think I'm going to keep these episodes around 20 minutes, but for this first one we're going to go 30 since I talked my head off. Alright, so I've received news that my lover is with child. Hopefully she'll be able to persuade her husband, who hates my guts and is my brother, that he's the real father. We can only hope. Oh, but you know what that means? That little lying, cheating, stealing, thieving jerkbag of brother of mine. I'm going to seduce this one. I bet my wife hates my guts, doesn't she? Surprisingly, not as much as I thought she would. She's trusting. Wow. Alright, so my young wife has taken a passion for romantic poetry. She keeps reading any sort of romantic poetry she can get a hold of. Yeah. Let's get her some more and make her lustful. Dirty. Dirty, dirty, dirty. Alright, so seduction in the wild. I'm attending a festive outing with Philippa. Unfortunately, half the court is also here. That is kind of problematic. And I'm having trouble getting any time alone with my amorous quarry. Let's leave her a note. Oh man. Alright, I didn't wait long for Philippa to show up. By the nearby stream, we spent hours chatting and laughing, and I do believe she is falling for me. I lean in and whisper in her ear, God, this guy's a creep. Alright, so let's take a look at her. She is lustful, diligent, arbitrary, and paranoid. We're definitely making a lewd suggestion. And guess what? We're sleeping with our brother's wives while he's in Constantinople. That's just totally going to go over well. I mean, right? Right? There's no way this backfires. Alright, so let's check on these trade posts. We've got one. Okay, that one's getting close. They're all getting close. They're all going to hit about the same time. And I'll be able to show you exactly what that looks like once they're done. So right now, you're probably going, how much money do you make? We make 3.02. And that's another interesting facet behind merchant republics that I can talk about. Is essentially we make roughly, we'll round up 44 ducats a year. So we have to pay 6 of those to our liege, and then you see this family dues. Basically, because we have 2 adult males, we have to pay them roughly, I can't remember exactly what percentage it is, but they all get a cut of the family business. Think about it that way. They get their little allowance. Now, there are pros and cons to this. The con is that the more males that you have, the more trade posts you have, the more income you can generate. However, you also have to pay them their monthly stipend. But it's almost a forced savings plan, because one of 2 things happens. Every time one of them dies, you get 50% of their income. If you die, then you inherit 100% of the income that your heir is getting. And I believe I've said that correct. So it is a forced savings plan. It's unfortunate that you have to do that, but you know, you'll eventually see a little bit down the road that you end up making a crap ton of money as a republic, and you kind of got to have that. So we'll read this. The even greater ball. As a way to get back at the vile... What are their names? They are called they're the Urso family. Wah, wah, wah. You can make arrangements to host your own grand ball. Invitations will be sent out to all patrician families, with the exception of the Urso, of course. If this is to work, your ball will have to be so much grander than the other one that weasel Patrician Leo threw together. It won't be cheap, but it would restore your prestige and bring shame to those dogs. Yeah, let's make it happen. Screw those jokers. We'll kill them off anyways. Alright. So here we go. The day of your grand balls arrived, and every one of importance in Amalfi is in your palace. Mansion, palace. I mean, I guess it is a palace. Everyone but the Urso family. Your guards have strict orders not to permit anyone from their bloodline inside. In one of the corners of the ballroom, a bearded gentleman who looks vaguely familiar is loudly and unfavorably comparing your ball with the Urso one. As you approach him to set him straight, you recognize something in his voice. Could it be possible? You rush forward and rip the thick beard off the man's face to reveal Patrician Leo. Astonished, Leo pushes you aside and makes a mad dash for the exit, like a frightened rabbit, while shoving several dancing guests to the floor. Alright, so, joke's on him. We get our prestige back, and yeah, we're out a little bit of money, but that's okay, because guess what? These will eventually be complete. In fact, they'll be complete pretty soon. Whew. Alright, so let's see. Wife is not the pregnant. This one's pregnant though, and I'm the father. Alright, so daughter was born. That's great. And my idiot brother thinks it's his. Well, daughters aren't the worst thing in the world. So let's see. We have finished trade post. Alright, so yeah, this is a great thing. We have finished our Ford trade post. So if we go to our Republic screen, you can see that all of these trade posts are actually making pretty decent income. You can see that the Morrow family built one in Messina, and Messina is right down here, I believe on the island of Sicily. But all 4 of ours are connected. I hope no one's building one in Rome. I really would love to get one in Rome. Rome's a good city. So let's see. If we go to our trade zone view, you will see this now. Because we control really a super majority of the trade post, you now see that, hey, look, this zone is highlighted Amalfi blue, as well as the Strait di Messina. If I click on and hover over on this, it says the trade zone is owned by our family. If I go down to Messina, it says it's owned by this family. And so over the course of time, I believe when we start out, we have the Genoese and Ragusa and Venice, and as they build their trade posts, when we go back to this view, you're going to see it highlight out. And the interesting thing about having trade posts, and let's see if I can show it to you, is we now have, I'm not bankrupt. All right, we gotta wait till we're not bankrupt. Of course, throwing that ball broke us. Man, I'm just a terrible person. But you can see my monthly income's going up significantly because of those trade posts. And while we can talk about trade posts can be upgraded in 3 ways. Basically, you have 3 levels. Level 1, merchant port, an enclave, and a garrison. Each of them do a little different thing. Merchant port increases the trade value. The enclave increases the tax income, and the garrison basically builds a fort there. In terms of prioritizing that, until your trade practice technology gets advanced, the tax boost itself is the most beneficial, but later in the game, the merchant port eventually, because of the increase in trade value and when you've got the right trade technology, it really compounds upon one another. A good example, we'll go straight to technology. We are at 2 trade practice, and basically what it does is our trade value is plus 15th. Oh my God, I can't talk. 15%. And eventually you can see where right now we're suffering a 33% trade port limit. Eventually we'll get to 0 trade post limit, and our trade value eventually goes up, and you can see that the higher that gets, it compounds. And so that's why I say early on we're going to focus on the merchant enclaves, because they're going to generate, we'll get more return for our money out of that. Later on we'll build up the ports because of the compounding factor there. All right, so we are no longer bankrupt, and as I close out this episode, because we have a trade post in Salerno, we should have a very unique casus belli, and that is to siege this city. We have one in Neapolis to take the city of Neapolis, and we also have one in Capua to basically siege either of these cities. So what that does is it enables us or the Doge to declare war. If we win that war, we will seize the city, and because we have the trade post there, it's our casus belli, we inherit the city, which is a great thing for a patrician because they're not noble to hold. So anywho, that's kind of a crash course in Merchant Republic mechanics. There are multiple strategies behind that, but we're here to be the sleazy family of the Amalfi Republic, and I think we're doing a good job. We're basically banging both of our sister-in-laws along with our wife. We've already impregnated one, and we're going to build one of the greatest dynasties and have fun, because this is a very unique way to play CK2. But we're at 30 minutes, so we're going to go ahead and cut this bad boy up and get this first episode in the books, and we'll be back in 2 where there will be less explaining and babbling and more just fun time where we play as the Amalfi Sleaze. I love it. All right, guys, y'all be good. As always, I hope you enjoyed it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, I would love to have you subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button as well if you enjoyed this episode and want to see more. And I will catch you on the next one. Be good.